it's your girl Meesh. Welcome to another episode of Love Meesh, where I share my thoughts, opinions, and ramblings, and sometimes I'll have guests over, but no subject is off limits. It's a billion people in the world, and I'm one of them. So welcome to my world. Let the conversation begin. Hey loves, I get the opportunity to speak with you guys once again. I'm in the car this time. And I don't know if a lot of you know, but me and my sisters have started a nonprofit called Auntie Booze. So I'm an auntie of 10 now, and I have a lot of nieces, nephews, godbabies, friends have kids. It's a lot of them. So I am the auntie. And one thing that I will most definitely instill in them is please figure out what the hell you want to do with your life and do it, and don't give up on yourself, because it's nothing worse than clocking into a motherfucking job because you have, bills, responsibility, obligations. You might have a partner, you might have kids, you got to take care. And the only reason you there is for that. That is the worst feeling in the world. I just clocked out, and when I tell you I could give a good goddamn about what anybody was calling in about, it's ridiculous. I don't care that your bill is past due. I don't care that your payment is missing. I don't care. Like, this shit is so uninteresting to me. And I'm glad I don't work somewhere like 911 operator. I wouldn't be caring about the person bleeding. So I think it's important to figure out exactly what your gifts and talents are and go for it, because it's in you, and the sooner you figure it out, the better. School is not helping us discover our talents. They're preparing you to be worker bees for someone else. They've already figured out what their gift and their talent and what they want to do for the world, and you done signed up to work for them. And where did this come from? Okay, so I started this job going on 3 years, and one of my coworkers, she, on my way out, she was like, "Hey, I retired this month." I'm like, "Oh my gosh, congratulations!" And I'm like, "Damn, I got a long time to go before I can sing that song." And it was depressing. Like, oh my God, I'm just figuring out what I want to do. And I could have started on this years ago, because you definitely got to put in time and build up your clientele and, learn from your mistakes, trial and error. And where could I be now had I started this a while ago? But I digress. So congratulations to her. I am happy people put in time. Now she get to chill with family, friends, grandkids, travel the world. But it shouldn't take your whole life to do that. Like, somebody has this game twisted. Like, who said I want to give most of my life to you, and then before I meet Creator, I can chill? No. Definitely have that the wrong way. So with Auntie Booze, I'm gonna definitely try to introduce the kids to different things, whether it's drawing, whether it's writing books, acting, taking pictures, just try to, cooking, just to try to give them an idea of what their strengths and weaknesses are, so that they can get a ball on it, y'all. If y'all look online, magazines, maybe news, I don't really look at news, but it's so many kid entrepreneurs, it makes no sense. A lot of these Disney kids, and we probably see them as actors and actresses, they're homeschooled, and they're able to hone into their talents because they aren't sitting at a desk for 8 hours for 12 years. You know what I mean? So shout out to my sister. She signed my niece and nephew up for homeschool. They will be homeschooled this August. I'm so happy for them. Y'all be seeing those kids graduate at 12 years old in college, about to be a doctor or a lawyer, and our kids is on the playground. I think we kind of baby them too long. And even at 18, we should know a lot more by the time we turn 18. It's just backwards. And they're taking out a lot of important classes. Like, guys would graduate with my parents them with wood shop, with mechanics. So they know how to fix old girl car. They know how to fix stuff in the house. We don't really got those no more. Women would have home ec. She could cook and sew. We don't have that no more. I remember having that in middle school. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, and it was in high school as well. But the little kids, they don't have that anymore. So nobody's really cooking. Everybody microwaving, ovening it up. The food is already bad as fuck. Don't get me started on that. If it hasn't been sun-kissed and grown by the sun and the dirt, it is not good for you. We should be eating fruits and vegetables with seeds. Seed-bearing fruits and vegetables is what we should be consuming. Everything else is basically trash. And all those vitamins and stuff, they come from fruits and vegetables. You shouldn't have to take a plastic substitute that they manipulated in the lab, because there's pros and cons to everything. So if it's giving you this nutrients, what did it take away? It doesn't work like that if you get it natural, homegrown, from Creator, from Earth. But again, another subject. At work, I listen to podcasts. I am a podcaster, and there's a lot of podcasts I listen to, and I used to listen to them more actively, and now when I log in, it's like 20 minutes episodes. Oh my God, I gotta catch up. So I pushed pause on the podcast, and I went to YouTube, and I looked up this book called The Alchemist. I keep hearing so much about The Alchemist. It's signs and messages all around us. If you keep getting something more than once, like, try to hone in on it, because it's trying to tell you something. When I tell you I listened to this 2-hour book at work in between, every time I put a customer on hold, play. Every time I put a customer on hold, play. This was the best book in my life. And I would say right up there with the Bible, if not better. It was a romantic story to me, because I'm a romance at heart, or maybe I felt like it was a romantic because I already am one. But if you get a chance, please go on YouTube. It's free. It won't cost you nothing. The Alchemist. Now, it was one up there for 4 hours. I'm going to click on that one again just to make sure she ain't skimming me on some stuff. And I definitely am going to buy it, because I do want my bookshelf full of the great novels for me, my significant other, and my family to read. Because, you know, they say what? Put it in the book so they can keep it from us. So we need to start reading, guys. But, it was about a shepherd, a little boy, and he had this reoccurring dream that a kid showed him the pyramids. He could find treasure at the pyramids. And it wasn't just about him, you know, going to the pyramids and getting a treasure. It was lessons throughout the whole book. So his parents wanted him to be a baker, because a baker had a steady job, which means he could marry and he wouldn't have to worry about not having money. But he stood up to his parents, and to me, I think that was lesson number one. And he said he didn't want to do that. He wanted to be a shepherd so he could travel the world. That was his number one interest. So again, I said I want to help Auntie Boos figure out what they want to do so they can chase that. A lot of us, when we have kids, we tell our kids, you could be anything you want to be when you grow up. But we never continue to say, you still want to be a nurse? Do you still want to be a doctor? Okay, let's get you in this program. Okay, let's get. We just kind of ask them. We dress them up for Halloween and we let it go. You have to continuously cultivate that gift and put them around mentors and, you know, different training classes and stuff, if that's really what they want to do. And if they don't know what they want to do, get them into a lot of things till they figure it out. So, to me, I think that was the first thing. So he stood up to his parents. He said he didn't want to do that. I was like, okay. I think his dad kind of didn't want to do what he was doing either. So, you know, you can live through your kids. And I think that's what he did. He said, I was going to give this to you like a coin or something, like as a heirloom. But you can go ahead and use it and get your sheep so you can start your flock. So he got his sheep, you know, his dad. I'm pretty sure that was a lot for his dad to do to help him start up his business. And that's another thing. How many people, and my parents, to me, I feel like if something happens, they have a house. They can pass down the house. But how many of us can say that we can pass down things to our kids? Whether it's money, whether it's a house, this, that, the other. A lot of us don't even have life insurance. If something happens today, a lot of my friends, their moms, dads are passing. When the other parent passes, most families, they need 2 household income. Will your parents still be able to manage all the bills by themselves? That's what insurance is for. You can get so much to where my cousin Shantae said you should times your insurance by 5 so that you would be able to take care of your expenses for the next 5 years. And, change things, change your spending habits and your expenses and stuff so that you could get used to the new income that you have now that one significant other is gone. But So yeah, that's what I got out of that too. His dad was able to pass something down so that he to build up his child's legacy. So we need to try to make sure that we're building up not just nest eggs for ourselves for retirement, but what are you leaving down? Like in the Bible, it speaks about from you to your children to your children's children. So that's 3 generations. When we work and build and plan and stuff, we shouldn't just be thinking about ourselves. Go further. Think about your kids. Go even further. Think about your grandkids. And then they need to pick up the baton. Your kids need to think about their kids, and then their grandkids. And then their kids, need to think about their kids, and their kids, and to keep going on. That's not the only way it's going to get better. So, getting back to the story, so he was with the sheep or whatever, he was able to travel, sleep under the stars and stuff. It wasn't the best of life, but his focus was, I want to travel, and he was able to do that. So he met I just heard it for the first time, so I could be wrong. I got to go re-listen to it and all this and other, but you're definitely going to be able to pull out. And this is just from me hearing it today. When you read it, if I missed something, you'll be able to pick up on it. But he met a gypsy. And he was telling the gypsy, I keep having this dream about this kid saying going to the pyramids is pot of gold. And she was like, okay, I'll tell you how to, what you need to do, but you got to give me 10% of the treasures that you find. So he was like, okay. She didn't charge him, but she basically told him what he already knew, which was go to Egypt and get the treasure. And so he made up his mind. He was, gonna go to Egypt and pursue the treasure. So along the way, he met, that was a gypsy. I think he met like a god. And the god gave him 2 omens. And the omens have a name, but I'm driving. I ain't write the stuff down. But when I listen to it again, I'll write it down. And the omens will be able to answer questions for him, yes or no. So he had to give him 6 of his sheep, which I think was his whole flock. And the omen, if you answer a question, I think white meant no and black meant yes, or vice versa. And I had a bracelet with white and black, and its significance with white and black as well. I'll do another podcast on that. But I think I went out to drinks with my friend, and one of them, he took it, and so I need to go order it again. That thing was expensive, $20. But I'll get it again. It's supposed to remind you of balance. It had seawater from the Dead Sea and sand from the Himalayan mountains, which brings me to another point. Pause on the book. In life, there will be ups and downs. Sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down. Never be too complacent. Never be too sad when things are going bad, because they're going to go back up. And never be too happy when things are up, because they can go down. If you stay mellow, nothing should faze you. You shouldn't have to cry or smile too hard, because you know that it's like a wave. It's always going to be coming and going. And so if it's bad, then a smile is right around the corner. And if it's happy, some tears could be right around the corner. But so yeah, the God took his 6, back to the book, the God took his 6 sheep and gave him the omens, and was basically telling him, every time you ask a question, you're going to have to give up. To me, this is what I took from it. When you ask a question, you're going to have to give up something. So the answer is already in you. You don't need to ask a question and ask somebody to validate what you already know. He already knew that the dream already told him, go to Egypt, get the treasure. It was clear as day. You don't ask the gypsy to tell you, now you got to give her 10% of your treasure. You don't ask the guy to confirm it. Now you got to give him your flocks. It's really so simple, y'all. We be having the answers and want somebody to validate. Can't nobody validate you like you. So he I think he asked the omens one question, and he never asked again. He said, I'm gonna just go within myself. But so now he don't got no sheep or whatever, and he's on his way to Egypt, the pyramids, to get the treasure. So, oh my God, y'all, on this journey, this little boy goes through so much. He ends up, I guess, in Egypt, they speak a different language, Arabic. He asked the guy if he could take him to Egypt. He was like, okay, we need to get camels. He took him to the shop, and when he looked, the market is so many people and chattering, and you turn your head for one moment and you could be lost. And that's exactly what happened. He turned around, and he got a good heart like me. He was thinking, oh, surely he didn't know he lost me. He'll come back. And so he waited for the shop to close, the market to close down. The people had prayed, that's the tradition, and went home. The sun had done went down, and that man was nowhere to be found. So he basically got. And I think I didn't tell you this part. He had gave the man the money that he had. Like, he had bought the camels and gave the man the money to take him to Egypt. So now you don't got no money. You in this language where you don't speak. You're in this place where you don't speak the language. You just freaking lost. And all you have to hold on to is that dream. I got to get to the pyramids to get the treasure. So he went up to the mountain, and it was like a glass shop, and the guy at the glass shop, he said, like, back in the day, it used to be like so popular. People would come from all around the world to get the crystals. Like, I think he sold like crystal mugs, crystal glasses, everything to do with crystals. But you had to go up the mountain to see the shop. So he was missing a lot of customers, because if you didn't go up there, you wouldn't know. Like, it wasn't busy road or street like it was back in the day. So the boy went up there, and he was like, I'll work for you if you give me something to eat. And he was like, okay. After he had cleaned everything, he gave him something to eat or whatever. And he was like, you didn't have to clean everything. I would have given you something to eat. It's like the laws that they go by. And I myself am going to write down a lot of laws that I come across, like the 10 Commandments. I think it's the 42 laws of Muahhh. Like, I want to get those numbers tattooed on me as well, because nobody should have to tell us right from wrong. But I guess we use freedom so freely that we end up doing whatever the fuck we want to do. And there's a balance in this life. Like, why not feed the homeless if they're hungry? You could find yourself in those same shoes one day, and when you want someone to feed you. So it's just simple. Like, not give to receive, but if everybody did their part, we will all just be better off. But anyway, it's another subject. So he was like, you could have just, I would have fed you anyway. You didn't have to clean up. So he was like, so here the boy negotiating, because he still want to get to Egypt, to the pyramids, to the treasure. He was like, if I clean everything, would you give me enough money to get to, Egypt? He was like, if you worked for me a whole year, clean, like, you still wouldn't have enough money to get there, basically what the man was saying. So he was like, okay. He basically had told him of his dreams of, whatever his culture was, they always do a passage where they go from where they were born. And I can't recall. They take a passage of where they were born. Let's just say Jerusalem. And then they come back home. So his whole point of opening up the crystal shop was to make enough money so he could do his passage. But his story was, over time, he fell in love with his shop. So much in love with his crystals that he could not bear to let someone else take ownership of the place. So he never really went after his dream. Like, he became complacent. He became stuck. Like, that was just it for him. And so here this little boy walks in his life, like, following, like, a dream. And he's just, like, bewildered. And so he's basically telling him, like, give it up, like me. Like, just go back home and be a shepherd. Like, you still know how to shepherd. You can stay here, work, get some money, go back home, be a shepherd or whatever. So the boy, and this is us in life too. It's so many lessons in here. Like, I'm literally going to listen to it again and write down again and maybe do another podcast, because I'm probably missing so much. But he became discouraged, and that's what we do. Like, oh, I want to go to college. You probably end up getting pregnant. I guess I'm not going to go to college. Let me find a job. Let's find a place to stay. What me and baby going to do. We're going to get married. Woo-de-woo-de-woo. Like, you forget all these other obstacles come to your place, and you kind of, like, forget. So he became discouraged, and he was like, okay, so I'll just work here and save up enough money to go get my sheep and move home. So as he was working there, he was bringing the man so many more customers than what he was accustomed to, which that can happen too. Like, he had fresh ideas to an old. That was another thing that I pulled out to it. It was nothing was broke with the place. It's a crystal place. Sell crystal mugs. He said, how about you sell tea in the mugs? So it was how they say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So it was nothing wrong with the crystal mugs. He just brought something new, fresh, and exciting to it. How about you serve tea? People are traveling. Everybody loves tea. It's calming. This, that, the other. They can stop, have conversation. All these people from all over can, talk and stuff. So the guy was hesitant about it. Older people are stuck in their ways. But after some time, he gave it a go. And again, it brought in more customers. So then the boy had another idea. He was like, how about I make a showcase at the bottom of the at the bottom of the hills with the glasses so that people can see them, and it'll bring, invite them up. And he was like, no, people are clumsy. They might bump into it. They might break it. That sound like lost money and stuff. Like, again, this guy's just so gung-ho on his crystals, but he gave it some thought or whatever, and he ended up doing it. And again, it brought more customers. It brought so much more customers, you guys, that the man had to hire 2 more people, and they both were like wealthy and rich. Like, they had so much money that he could buy a whole fleet of sheep. He would be the wealthiest man back home. He said that he could buy like a visa to be able to sell foreign goods back home. Oh, and I forgot to tell y'all. So when he had the sheep back home, it was a girl in his village that he really liked. So he was like, remember I was talking about being a baker? He was like, maybe I should be a baker because my dad said that's a stable job. Then maybe she would want to marry me because I'll have a stable job. So that was a thought, him and the girl. So as he still chose his dream over her. And again, I got that out of that as well. Always follow your dream. Whatever's meant to be will be there. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit more because it's going to be in the story. So he was thinking, okay, and then when I go back, I'll have enough for her. If she's not married, then I can marry her. But then, a still small voice was inside him was like, no, Egypt, the pyramids, the treasure. And it was like bothering him because he hadn't got robbed. Every time he pursued it, things would go left. So it's like, do I keep going right or against the grain and all this shit is happening, or do I just say fuck it, give up and go back the other way? So it ain't take long. He definitely finna go to those pyramids, to the treasure, to Egypt, right? So he got all this money. He's like, now how can I get to Egypt? Now it has been about 18 months since he's been working in this shop, y'all. 18 freaking months. Can you imagine? So I got out of that, even though, and he learned the language. So if nothing was in vain, he met a guy. He made more money than ever. Because the guy ordered the crystals through the people that he ordered it through had to travel from Egypt. So had he not worked there, he wouldn't have known the guy that brought the crystals because he was on his way to ask him if he could ride with him to Egypt. That was going to be his he was going to voyage with them to Egypt. So everything kind of lined up. Even though it seemed like it wasn't lining up, it was lining up. And I think we have to look at things like that too. I just got so much out of this book. I literally fell in love with this. And it was a simple book, but I fell so in love with it. So, okay. So he goes to the guy who brings the crystals and say, can I get on, can I do this voyage with you to get to Egypt? And guess what, y'all? It was only freaking 2 hours away. Meslica, I could be wrong. Again, I really, 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 really want y'all to read this book or listen to this book. It's not going to take long at all. But it was only 2 hours away. And of course, the desert journey is a lot longer. But he has, y'all, can you imagine 18 months and this place was only 2 freaking hours away? But anyways, he was there, and as he was waiting for everybody to load up to go, he met an alchemist. Now, this word has been circling me for a while now. I put it in my OneNote. I have all these words, phrases that I'm going to research. They have just come to me that I want to just dive into, and alchemy is one of them. So he met an alchemist, and from my understanding, alchemy really is all around us, but it's basically turning things into, I think, in this story, it was the guy's whole point was to turn things into gold. Using different minerals, fire, heat, whatever, they turn it into gold. So the alchemist had told his story. So he was reading books all about alchemy. He wanted to know alchemy. Alchemy was everything he wanted to do, and he gave up on it. Then his friend came to him and said, hey, it's a genie or whatever in Egypt that knows all about alchemy. So before he gave his dream up, he was like, he packed up all his books, everything, that was his sign. And in the book, it keeps saying omens. Omens are like sign. That was his omen to, go forward with his dream. Don't give it up. So that's how those two happened to me. So what I got out of that is, even though things in your life may seem like they're going wrong, they could simply be falling into place because those two needed to meet. And had the boy not gone through the different steps that he made, what if the boy needed to wait 18 months to meet the man? Because the man's friend had to come tell him about it for him to go there. And what if that took 18 months? Do you get what I'm saying? It's like so precise. Like life is like, oh my God, how all these pieces come together. Like God is amazing for all these pieces to come together and to be the mastermind behind it all. It just blows my mind for billions of lives. All the way down to animals and plants and air and planets. Like who has time to set all this shit up? But anyways, because I'm finna go into a whole nother topic. So those two met, and he was teaching the boy about alchemy. So another thing. And so when they got, the captain of the, voyage, it was like, okay, I don't know what all religion you guys have, but this is my religion. And, I'm going to pray to my religion that we have a safe voyage. Because, it'd be battles and stuff on the desert and stuff. And, they definitely want to get there safe. So he was like, whoever you believe in, just pray for a safe voyage. And, I thought it was real interesting. And we'll all, and I'm the boss basically. And hopefully we'll get, we'll have a great journey and we'll get there safe. So on the way there, him and the alchemist bought camels, and they were on their journey there. And the boy was basically saying the man was talking a lot, and he was just kind of like listening. But on the journey there, they stopped at an oasis, which is like maybe a pond or river. And it's amazing that this can just be in the middle of the freaking desert. It just blows my mind. But the way he explained it, it was like date trees and animals and women and children. Like I guess it was like the meeting place for desert people. So they waited there, I guess to let the animals drink and stuff like that. I guess it was like a pit stop on their voyage. But they end up getting stuck because there was two sides feuding. And you can't like travel in the middle of a war because I guess, they'll take your life. And they didn't know how long this was going to take. Could be years. So the boy was like looking at the birds in the sky or whatever. And I guess he got like a message out of it that they needed to leave because the people was going to come there and try to kill them. So he ended up telling somebody, in the village, and they ended up telling the chief of the village, and chief of the village was like, who is this kid? How do you know about, because the way they was explaining it is that there's messages all around. Wind has a message, life has a message, heart has a message, universe has a message, and not everybody knows this, or we're born knowing it and we just end up forgetting, or we lose touch or whatever. So these are like old wise men, like, who is this youngin talking about, I know the signs of the birds in the sky. So when he told them about the omen, number one, he was like, how did you get an omen? Because remember, the king gave him an omen. Oh, and I didn't tell y'all, the alchemist had those, the white and black, stones as well. So to me, in my mind, this king, because the king said that he appears whenever people need help finding their journey. Like, I guess, like, give me a sign or something like that. And he said he can appear in different forms. So I guess he appeared for him in human form, but sometimes it could be a song on the radio, y'all. You've experienced this. Sometimes it could be, I guess most recently for us, social media, you get those messages on social media that just kind of pop up at the right time. But a song, a person, trees, whatever. But he says sometimes he show up like that, the king. So both of them had ran to me. Both of them ran into the king. And the king knew they was gonna meet and different stuff like that, and they had stuff in common, the omen rocks. But anyways, so remember that the alchemist was looking for the genie that was there, right? Well, how about the boy end up meeting the genie? Like the genie had took out his sword and was like, "How do you know about the?" Oh wait, so the kingdom, the king of the place was like, okay, we go by the rules of the desert. And, one of the rules of the desert is if it ain't broke, don't fix it, basically. But he was like, another rule is like, don't be a fool. So, answers can come different ways too. So they was going to pack up and leave or whatever. But before that happened, he ran into the freaking genie that the other man was looking for. And he pulled out his sword and he was like, how do you know about the language of the birds and this, that, the other? And the boy was like, I don't know, I knew that they were going to come, but I don't know what the outcome was going to be. You know what I mean? I can't tell us to leave or whatever. I'm just telling you what I do know. And the boy was fearless, and he had put his sword on his forehead and it dripped a little bit of blood, but he wasn't, he didn't back down. And then he put it back. He was like, okay, I just had to test you, because basically when you tell the truth, you basically stand for what you believe in. You don't have to change your answer if you know you're not lying or whatever, even at the face of death. So he was like, come see me if your head is still on your shoulders next day or whatever. And what I didn't tell y'all, and this is why it's romantic, this boy, when I tell you, this boy saw a girl, that's what it said, saw with his eyes, and fell head over heels. He told this girl he loved her just from seeing her. A woman at the well, reminds me of the woman at the well in the Bible, but she was a little, But this woman, oh, wait. I think he had asked one of the women by the well, do they know the genie or whatever? And she had on all black. And she was like, the custom here is you don't talk to women in black. Those are married women and you want to be respectful. So he saw her, and I forgot what color she had on, but he knew she wasn't married and that he would be able to talk to her. So he was basically asking her where the genie was so he could help out his friend. And, but when he saw her, he just forgot about Egypt, forgot about the jewels, forgot about the journey. Like this is why I traveled here for her. Like, he literally fell in love. He told her he loved her. And remember when I told you he worked at the crystal shop? He said he would sit outside and feel the wind and it would be a fragrance. I kid you not. This boy said it was her fragrance. Are you kidding me? The desert brought her fragrance to him. See how everything lines up? So this is how they talk it. And I don't know if they're called Arabian Tales or whatever, but I just found out, okay, pause. I just found out Aladdin is a real story in India, and his name was Aladdin, and he was a king, and Jasmine was a princess, and they went to war and all that. It goes deeper than what they tell us. So Disney be stealing shit, which leads me to believe all these religions and stuff are stolen, because you ain't even tell the story the right way. And even though you had to break it down to a kiddie level, like, oh my God, all those stories are from different cultures. But anyways, I digress. There's adult versions to those. And the way that they do their stories, I don't know. I forgot what you call it. Bali. I know Bali is like the dance moves, but I don't know if you call them Bali films, Indian films. I just want to be respectful, but their romances go so fucking hard, and that's probably why but it was a white man that wrote this book. Well, anyways, he fell in love with the girl, and this is what she says with her poetic ass. I'm a woman of the desert, and I knew one day that the desert will bring me a gift, and you are my gift. And and these two just like fucking fell in love, like, already. So what else I got out of this is a guy freaking knows, like, no matter what his goals, dreams, wishes are, he freaking knows who's supposed to be by his side and stuff like that. And I think they waste a lot of time and play. But don't play yourself, ladies. These fellas know what's up. But even though he like fell in love with her and stuff, I guess he like snapped out of it. Oh, no, he didn't. Because he was done with the, Egypt, the treasure, the pyramids. And she said no. She was like, because he was going to tell her why he loved her, all this stuff. And I like this too. She said, you don't have to tell me why you love me. Love just is. And she was like, the same way I was waiting this many years for you, I'll continue to wait. Go get your treasure and come back. And no, not come back. Go get your treasure, and if it's meant to be, you'll come back for me. When I tell you, oh my God, like, that spoke volumes. Because when it's real, it'll still be there regardless. You know what I mean? So, he was back ready to go on his journey. So, the next day, they left. The people came. They was going to kill him or whatever, but nobody was there. So, he was right. He got to go see the genie. And the genie was like, like quizzing him. Like, who are you? Where did you come from? What you doing here? Where you trying to go? So he basically told him, I can't pop in this dream, yada, yada, yada. I met the gypsy. I met the guy. I worked at the crystals. He told him his whole story. And I want to go to the pyramids, to Egypt, to get the treasure. So he was like, okay, I'll be your guide. Now, remember, they're not supposed to leave this oasis because of the battle. But the man's going to, the gypsy's going to take him. Still didn't tell his friend, and they just kind of left that out of the story. But so you're going to be my guy. And before he left, he told the girl, he paid a boy, because, that they are really strict with their customs over there, to go get the girl. He wanted to tell her a message. So, They hadn't held hands, they hadn't kissed or anything. Still, when he met her that night, he was like, okay, I have a, me and the genie, we're gonna come back. So he at least wanted to tell her bye. So, that was that. So they went, they're journeying there, but they run into oh wait, so he asked the alchemist, are you gonna teach me alchemy? And the alchemist was like, I don't need to teach you something that you already know. He was like, but I don't know. So he was like, and it's not dangerous out here, we're perfectly fine. As soon as he said that, freaking soldiers appeared. And the soldiers was like, what are y'all doing? And the genie had like a hawk. And the hawk would, I forgot to tell y'all. The genie asked him before the journey, can you find life? And he found a snake. And he was like, because, I guess the journey is, maybe what he was trying to say is the desert is full of death, or you could find life. That's a good omen. That's a good sign. So because he found the snake, they was able to do their journey. So when they met the soldiers was like, what are y'all doing? And the genie was like, I am out here hunting with my hawk. And then, I guess soldiers kind of check you and see what all you got. And it was, and then the genie was like, I guess they found one of the genie's potions, because they do alchemy or whatever. And he was like, what is that? He was like, oh, it could turn into gold, this, that, the other. And the guards thought it was funny, and then they left. And then the boy was like, why didn't they believe you? And he was like, because when you tell people the truth, sometimes it's just too hard to believe, right there in their face. Which, again, does that not remind you about him in that dream? Go to the pyramids, get the treasure. It was the truth right there, but it was just so simple, he didn't want to believe it. So, anyways, they're able to continue the journey towards the pyramids or whatever. And they get to, like, a synagogue. And remember, I'm, like, talking to customers, pausing. So, I'm not able to just, like, repeat it back. But I think I'm doing pretty good. So, they get to a church and the synagogue, and wait. Before they get there, let me tell you what this Mr. Genie do. They run into another group of soldiers, and this time they're held captive. And the soldiers, the gypsy took all the boy money and gave it to the soldiers, said he had a gift for you. And then this the genie talking now, y'all. He's an alchemist. He can turn the wind, and he can turn it to the wind. So, gave the soldiers the money. And the soldiers was like, all right, you got 3 days. But, the alchemist said, but he need 3 days to turn to the wind. And so the soldiers was like, all right, you got 3 days. That boy was so bad. He was scared. He's like, I don't know how to turn myself into the wind. He was like, well, you got 3 days. And he was like, and you gave them all the money I had. He was like, what good is the money if you're dead? So to me, that was a lesson in itself. What good is money if you're dead? We work all of our lives for what? What good is your money when you're dead? Especially if you're not allowing it to multiply for your kids and your kids' kids. You know what I mean? And then, again, he was telling him, I'm not going to teach you something that you already know. So the 3 days was here, and the boy, go out to the desert and was like, desert, can you please help me? And that's another thing. Like, if everything has a soul, and then there is other things that they kind of tell you in the book too, like everything is one, everything has a soul, everything has a voice, everything has a language. So he went to the desert and was like, desert. And I was like, oh my God. The most I do is probably talk to my plants, but everything really is a living being, is a living energy in a different form. And just because we don't understand it or speak the language doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. Like, we all literally are here living. So when he was like, desert, I was like, oh my God. So he was like, desert. He explained the situation. I need to try to beat the wind. We need to convince these soldiers so we could live and I can get to Egypt and get my treasure, this, that, other. And Desert was like, you need to take that up with the wind. So then he was like, wind, please, this, that, the other. And wind was like, you need to talk to the sun. But all the while it was working. So the desert started brewing, the wind started brewing. And the sun started shining brighter. So the brighter the sun shined, the more the wind had to pick up so that he could not be blinded as he talked to sun. So sun, they all have their little conversations. You can get things out of them too. But what I remember from sun is sun was like, I know everything. I know everything from afar. Basically like, little kid, who are you? And he was like, but you don't know love. And I was like, wow. And then I think Son kind of became envious because, yeah, it's looking from afar. It can see everything. To me, Son can see the whole puzzle. Like, we're like one puzzle piece. But when you're doing a puzzle and you pick up one puzzle piece, when you finish, you can look at the whole thing. Like, it is true. Son can, like, look at this whole thing and all the little pieces when we can only see things from one piece at a time, which to me is kind of how the book went. But anyways, he spoke to Desert, got his truths from Desert, spoke to Wind, got his truths from Wind, spoke to Sun, got his truths from Sun. And again, I'm going to go back and write stuff down because when I tell you this book was freaking amazing. But anyways, he was able to do it. The soldiers was like, wow, he was able to go. That's when they were able to go to the synagogue. And then when they got to the synagogue, the gypsy gave the man some money and then he gave the boy some money. And he was like, well, why are you giving him some? And he was like, because if something happens once, it won't happen again. But if it happened again, like 2 times, it's definitely going to happen 3 times. And I was saying to myself, what? I kept saying to myself, like, okay, if it happened once, it's not going to happen again. But if it happens twice, it's definitely going to happen 3 times. Like, isn't that not... it just blows your mind. So let me get this right. If it happens 1 time, then it will not happen again. But if it does happen again, it's going to happen 3 times. Like, what the hell? I'm going to tell you some shit like that. What the fuck? But anyway, so sure enough, on his way to freaking the pyramids to get the treasure under the tree, he ran into soldiers. Soldiers beat him up, take his money, and say, you stupid boy. I had a dream what are you doing here, you stupid boy? And he told him, I want to go to get my treasure. And he said, you stupid boy, you learned a lesson. I'm glad we met today so you can stop being stupid. I had a dream one day that I would find treasure under the sycamore tree. After he left, the boy wasn't even sad that he got freaking beat up or that his money was gone. He needed that to happen as bad as it was because he knew that the treasures was in Egypt with the pyramids. He didn't know where. That was his answer, the freaking sycamore tree. So I kid you not, this boy gets to the freaking sycamore tree and dig. I think it said he dug for like an hour and he hit something hard and he kept digging and it was a chest full of fucking treasure. It was like he put his omens in there because he felt like his omens were a part of his treasure as well. But he said it was rubies and this and that and treasures from ancient time, and he had so much more freaking money. You know what this boy said? I'm gonna get a 10% to the gypsy and I'm gonna go get my woman. But to me, wasn't that beautiful, y'all? It's so much more to it. And this is just what I took out of it for listening to it one time. But like, don't give up on your dream. No matter how hard it seems, keep going. You might have a couple of setbacks. It don't matter how long it takes. Accept your setbacks because they could also be parts of the pieces of the puzzle, and just fucking keep going. And nobody made that shit up. It was in you. You had a fucking dream that the treasures was in Egypt. That was the answer. You can't deny it because it was in you. Who gave you the dream? You gave yourself that dream. So, ladies and gentlemen, you gave yourself your dreams and your talents and your gifts. Nobody can take them away from you. Nobody can really give you those answers or confirm it for you. It's already confirmed because it's inside of you. So go after it and don't give up and don't sit on these people's clock forever helping them fulfill their dream unless that is a part of your dream. Because everybody ain't supposed to be a boss, CEO, all that other stuff. But just don't. And that book was freaking amazing. And the more books I read, I'm going to just recommend them. But when I was sitting on that clock today, like, I needed that. Like, that was so for me. I definitely want to do nonprofit Auntie Booze and start my little businesses on the side because this is not the freaking answer. But sometimes you have setbacks and you learn from them. So I'm learning how to do freaking taxes. Okay, so I'll be able to do my business taxes. Okay, it's not a bad thing. And also, I am with my sister right now waiting for court to end so that I could stack my money back up to be able to move. So that was a good lesson for me too, to where, just to be thankful. Things could be worse than what they are, and just to be patient. Like, this is the month that I go to court. It's almost freaking over. And then, I'll be back to me. And also another thing, please check your credit, because it could be stuff on there that is wrong. It could be stuff on there that is wrong. Now, I just moved from this very, 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 very nice apartment with no problems. I go to put in other applications and they're like, no, no, no. I'm thinking it's because I'm in court. No. One of my old apartments had put that I was evicted. I was about to be, but you know, if you come up with the money and pay or whatever, they dismiss it. But I don't think the apartment companies could see that. They just see bankruptcy. So I just filed a complaint with CoreLogic, and I went downtown and got the papers. And it's another thing. My sister said, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong. I'm like, well, you know, this is what they say. Not listening. So sometimes people do have the answer. Even if you don't know what to do, they're right. My sister was definitely right. So I called a man downtown. He's like, no, girl, you're fine. This has nothing to do. You know, you don't owe nobody. Nothing. It was freaking dismissed. You can come get the copies. I go down there, get the copies. $12 later, I called the lady at CoreLogic, tell her I want to dispute, the apartments. She was like, okay, here's your case number. And if you want to send over those documents as proof, you can email them. This is the email. So I did that. She was like, how do you want to get your results, through the mail or email? Email, please. So, 2 things. 1, I'm able to spend time with my sisters and my nieces and nephews because, time is precious and I just be work so much. I never really get to see them. So, I wake up, I see them. I go to sleep, I see them. I am able to spend time with my family. I love that. This week is my older sister. Next week, going to be my older sister as well. But the week after that, it'll be my little sister and my other cousins. Nieces and nephews. And I'm able to, because when I paid for my attorneys, I had to go behind on a couple other expenses too to be able to pay them. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, $1,200, yo. I just realized that. So yeah, I'm catching up car note, insurance, all this other stuff. Thank God I was able to pay the movers and stuff and get that situation together. But I was looking at a house and they want you to put down first month's rent, last month's rent. But then I remember, I'm in court and they might be able to pull that stuff up. And I don't want to mess up anything I got in court. So I said, I'm going to hold tight. I'm going to let that settle and then I'll move forward because I can't work overtime right now. So that book also helped me to know, your destination is still your destination. Enjoy the pause. And just be thankful. Even sometimes at work, I'm like, oh my God. But I'll run into a great customer or something like that. I just really wish to me, working from home would just make it so much better. But maybe I'm supposed to be there to bump into different people, encourage people or whatever. But that's what I wanted to say. When my coworker told me she was retiring, I was like, yes. I was like, dang, I got so many years to go. And then I was listening to this book girl, you better follow your dream. You better follow your dream. So, I will keep you guys updated on what's going on with me. And I hope you guys go check out that book, The Alchemist. And if I missed anything, it's because I heard the 2-hour version and I'm about to listen to the 4-hour version. But y'all can't tell me that was not an amazing book. Amazing. And I have some guests coming up shortly. And I'll be promoting other podcasts because I listen to other podcasts too. And I'll be learning a lot during the day when I be putting these customers on hold. And I just want to put y'all on. But that was it. Bye. And this concludes today's conversation. Thanks a million for listening. You can reach me on other social media platforms at www.linktr.ee/LUV.MEESH www.linktree/love.meesh. I hope you have a better than great day. Love you. Talk to you later. Mwah. Bye.